Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, October 14th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, we are looking at GWH. Talked about this in Friday's video, and this pattern right here, and wow, did the bull pennant get a massive breakout today. So the first thing is just get rid of those lines down there. They still, while they're still pertain to the chart, they're just not relevant anymore. And from a presentation standpoint, I don't want to risk causing confusion and clutter because there's lines everywhere. So let's try to keep this as clean as possible. But this is also a little tricky to talk about because this is where that perspective comes into play. I mean, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within, 10 minutes, well then, yeah, from that standpoint, things are looking pretty bad because there was a bigger pullback. With that said, if you care about the big picture point of view, even with the pullback, there's still plenty of opportunity to build a higher base. So let's get this mapped out here. And what do I mean by that? Well, and I'm not saying the price will do this, but let's just say that the price actually pulls all the way back down here to that $7 mark. So price comes down here and then behaves like this. Now, emphasis here on the big picture. From the big picture, what would you still have? Well, you'd have a set of lows right here. You'd have lows right here. You'd have lows right here. And then you'd have lows down here. And if you envision each one of those as stair-steps, what do you have? Again, emphasis on big picture. Well, from the big picture, you'd still very clearly have stair-steps progressing in the upwards direction. Again, I'm well aware that if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair-steps. So that's why I'm trying to make the distinction between somebody that cares about the overarching standpoint. So yes, there was a big pullback today, but think about that word, today, as in one day. Looking at multiple days, which is what we're doing here, you can see the price does still have plenty of opportunity to build a higher base. So from the overarching standpoint, as long as this thing continues to build higher lows, that is the name of the game. Next one here, SOXS, and what a nasty move here. On Friday, you can see that last 30 minutes got a great breakout through that pink line there, which is the 200 period moving average. And then today just absolutely smacked right back down, back inside of the sideways channel. Now, on the good news front, at least the price is still maintaining up above this $4.10 mark. In fact, let me bring this over so you can see more of its significance. But over the time span of things, you can see this has been a very important level. Did a great job of holding support there, held support there, held support again. So if the price does come down to $1 or $4.10, first off, if you're thinking, I think it could bounce, hey, that's a rational thought. Now, that's not guaranteed to happen. There are no guarantees, but it's at least rational given that it's bounced from there 3 times before. So if you do like to play bounces, then yeah, maybe you like that level right there as a potential bounce area. But just from a general health perspective, if the price were to come down to 410 and then break down below there, that is putting the price at lows that it hasn't seen in a very long time, and that would just be flat out not a healthy looking chart at all, assuming you want to see it from more so the price moving up standpoint. In terms of near-term areas of resistance right now, key dynamic to watch, all about that purple line right there, that 50 period moving average, which you can see right there, really started to get annoying for the price. So if there is any sort of attempted bounce, keep a close eye on 432 as that initial key battleground. Next one here, BBAI, very, very nice day today, especially when you consider just how crazy it was on Friday. Big move up, came all the way down here, but to give credit to the price, did a fantastic job of holding up above that pink line like it's done before. And now, did anybody know that this massive of a bounce was going to come? I don't think anybody knew that big of a bounce was coming, but it happened. So let's get some updates here made. So the first key update is what I would call the ideal level of support. When you say, hey Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute strongest going forward? And that would be if the price can now stay up there above 875. Now, if the price falls below 875, that doesn't mean the entire chart's destroyed or ruined or anything like that. But yeah, staying above there would be a great sign of power. Taking a step back and looking at things from the bigger picture, that is where the purple line there comes into play. The 50 period simple moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move higher and higher. So from an overarching standpoint, as long as the price stays above that line as it moves higher, well, that means that the price itself is building those higher lows. And that's what you want to see, as I mentioned earlier, from the bigger picture, viewpoint. That is the name of the game. You just want to see those lows getting higher and higher. And as long as the price stays above there, that implies that that's exactly what's happening. In terms of areas of resistance, no need to get overcomplicated. Just a question of where did the party stop today? And that was right up there at $9.20. So again, no fancy logic there other than just asking that question, where did the party finally stop? But all in all, very, very impressive start to the new week. Next one, ELBM, very, very big mover today. And going back to just these questions, all right, let's first talk about the ideal level of support. So if the chart can stay above a certain area, what would make it look the most powerful? In my opinion, right there at $5.35. But as I just discussed, the price falls below it. Doesn't mean the chart's destroyed or ruined or anything like that. But yeah, staying above there would be great. From the overarching standpoint, once again, that's where we have to look at that 50-period moving average. So as that line moves higher and higher, if you just want to envision that as an overall trend line that's drawing itself for you, then yes, as long as the price is above the trend line, then overall the bulls are still in full control. And then once again, very straightforward logic. In terms of resistance levels, where did the party finally stop? And it finally stopped during the last 30 minutes, right up there at about $8.70. So keep an eye on that as the main battleground. And if the price does decide that it wants to pull back some more, you could get maybe some sort of, so if it pulls back like that, at that point you're looking at, some sort of maybe bull flag pattern, something like that. But again, that remains to be seen if it does decide to pull back. Next one here, PLUG, and we're looking at a very solid pattern here, a very popular one. So let's get this pattern drawn into place. So the top part of the pattern resistance right there, which is our area of resistance, bottom part of the pattern right there, which is our area of support. And then just to make sure everybody can see the pattern, let's keep it one color. So we have our area of resistance, we have our area of support, we have the big upwards move right here. And then for you golfers, try to make it a little bit more visual, put the golf hole down here. This would be a bull pennant pattern. Now, just because something's bullish does not mean for sure guaranteed it's going to go upwards. But is it valid? Is it reasonable to think that the price consolidates out and then breaks up through that level? That could create an upside buying pressure. Absolutely. So again, is that guaranteed to happen? No. Is it a valid question to throw out there as a possibility? Absolutely. So if you like bull pennants, you like the price range down below $5, certainly keep an eye on it. Real quick, want to take a break and help you solve a very common problem out there, and that is that pattern day trade rule and people wanting to be able to day trade as much as they want every single day, but they can't because of that rule. So if you are somebody that just is sick and tired of it and wants to be a day trader, maybe doesn't have a whole lot of money, then definitely check out what I've been doing. And it's one of those things where it can sound too good to be true, but I totally understand, which is why I'm also inviting you to come swing by the live stream. I start every day at 11 a.m. Eastern, then I go for a few hours. So definitely make sure to swing by, subscribe, turn on notifications so that you are reminded when I go live, and come see it with your very own eyes. Ask me questions, because I do fully understand all this can sound a little too good to be true. What's the catch? But yes, you can get yourself into a market where there's no pattern day trend rule. These markets move even better than penny stocks and small caps and low floats anyways, which I realize sounds crazy. But like I said, come check it out. Ask me any sort of questions. Next one, BURU, and I'm going to go through this very quickly because it remains a lot of people talking about it. But the pattern that I talked about previously is still remaining the same. So as I talked about last week, what we basically have here is this big old sideways channel. And just because something is going sideways does not mean for sure guaranteed the pullback is over and for sure guaranteed it's getting ready to head back up. But it at least makes it a valid question to throw out there. Case in point, if this thing was just doing something like this, and then I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this could be the bottom, you'd be 100% justified to say, well, based on what? The price is literally just dropping. But that's not the case here. It has at least started to go sideways. So again, just because it's only going sideways does not mean that it's done going down. It just becomes a way more rational thought to have. So if you like penny stocks, if you like these situations where a lot of people are still talking about a stock, but it just seems to be kind of stuck going sideways. You know what? Sideways is better than dropping down. So yeah, maybe this is the bulls consolidating out before another move in the upwards direction. So if you like these sorts of possibilities and you like penny stocks, then keep an eye on it. Next one, RGTI, just crazy movement. This thing did get stuck in this sideways channel for a while, and you can see this 48.25 was a very annoying level for several days, but you can see opening movement right there, 30 minutes on the day, and then given that it's Monday, first 30 minutes of the week, got the break. And then even as I speak right now, this thing is still putting in new highs. So very nice start to the week. I'll go ahead and get rid of that level. First key update, just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see the MACD as support. So 48.25 is indeed an area of support, but I would more so focus on now is that ideal level. And if the price can somehow manage to stay up here above 52, that would be insanely powerful. So let me be very clear on if the price falls below that green line, as I've said before on other charts, that doesn't mean that it's ruined. But yes, if somehow the price can stay above there, that would be a very impressive sign of power. But from the bigger picture, as I've talked about before, just continue to watch that purple line, and as the price stays above there, that's what you want to see. And this one actually gives us a good example. Was that perfect? It wasn't, but right around the general area of the purple line recovered. Right there. Was it perfect? Bounce? No, but it definitely stuck around the general area and bounced up from there. So from the grand scheme of things, as long as the price continues to stay above that purple line, that is by far what matters most. Next one here, BITF. After a very crazy pullback here, the trend has resumed. But this goes back to what I've talked about on some of these other charts, and it all being about that purple line. And we have a good example of that. There have been many pullbacks along the way here on BITF, but check out how this one just continues to respect that purple line as time goes by. The most recent one right here on Friday. So like I said, on these other ones, that doesn't mean that the purple line is always guaranteed to hold. But this is a good example of what is possible and what the chart's going to look like if it can just continue to not go straight up, because nothing can go straight up, but at least go through methodical pullbacks. And how am I defining methodical pullbacks? By staying above that purple line right there. So just continue to watch that as that overarching area of support. And then in terms of areas of resistance, actually, let's go to the daily time frame, because as you can see here, it has been a very, very long time since the price has been up this high. Oops, let's do this over here. Oh, okay. Well, let's go to the weekly. Okay, okay, wow. So this is the weekly, meaning each one of these candlesticks represents an entire week, meaning I'm going all the way back to 2022 to figure out when the next potential area of resistance is at, which is up around 605. So this is at multi-year highs right now. So in many senses, it's kind of just a brand new, fresh blue sky breakout. Technically speaking, not totally true, because yes, it's been up here before. But like I said, last time the price was up here, 2022. So in other words, very, very impressive past few weeks. Next one here, NVTS, and this is one that I would say, if I were pushed into a corner, I'd say look for some sort of pullback, because what we have here is known as the rising wedge pattern, and the rising wedge is actually a bearish pattern. With all that said, keep in mind of what I've said on some of the bullish patterns. Just because something's bullish does not mean the price is going to go down. Same is true here. Just because this is a bearish pattern does not mean that for sure, guaranteed, without doubt, there's going to be some sort of pullback here. But if that sort of thing happened, would that be logical? Would that be shocking? It wouldn't, but not guaranteed to happen. A valid question. But also, word there being pullback. I'm not saying full-blown reversal. I'm not saying this thing's dropping, $4 or $5 per share. But yes, nothing can go straight up. There can be pullbacks, and this rising wedge here right now is suggesting that maybe this thing will need to pull back a little bit if it's going to continue on with the overall uptrend. But yes, NVTS, in my opinion, I'd classify as a rising wedge. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and very nice movement here. Has broken back upside out of this channel. So that's where the first key update comes into play. As I mentioned earlier, when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. And I would say 427 by no means is like a do or die level, but it's important in the sense of, yes, this has been a big move, a good move. What do quality movements do? Well, they make progress. They don't go back to where they were. How am I defining, quote unquote, back to where it was? Well, if it comes back to 427 and then drops inside, well, now all of a sudden it's right back inside of the sideways channel where it had just been. Now, does that mean that the entire Tesla chart is destroyed? No, it doesn't. I'm just talking about referencing this movement here. If this movement is strong, then you'd ideally want something like that to look, where it can backtest, but you don't want it falling back inside of this area right here. So 427, important area from a support for that reason. And then in terms of areas of resistance, check it out. It's all about that pink line right there at 436.75. 200 period moving average, you can see right there. Not a coincidence that the price is all of a sudden kind of struggling around that area. Doesn't mean the price can't push through it. I'm just saying that's not some sort of random area. It makes total sense of why the price would be struggling around that location there. But all in all, anyway, look at it. Very nice start here for Tesla. So that wraps up the top 10 lists. And again, if you are sick and tired of the pattern day trend rule, if you just want a market where you have very little risk, but you have very great movement, better than penny stocks, better than small caps and all that, then definitely check out the market that I've been trading and trade it the way I've been trading by checking out that link. Or if you're super skeptical, then I understand. Come swing by the live stream, see it with your very own eyes, and ask me any sort of questions that you may have. So definitely check that out. And it's been helping out a lot of people. And it's made a big difference because it's actually, again, sounds too good to be true, but it's not. And I'd be happy to show it to you. And you can see it with your very own eyes. So thanks for hanging out. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the live stream.